welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries, and welcome to Velen's Chosen, episode 183. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, deck building visionary, or just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. I'm Grant Gould, and joining me across the North American continent is not your favorite Canadian this week. Eve had to take some last-minute leave. She had some family stuff she had to take care of. So we have an awesome guest for you this week. Per request from our great Hearthstone community, we have joining with us, first-time guest, Stormfever. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm good.
Good.
I didn't realize I was
ahead.
so heavily requested.
Yeah, you did. You had some people Run, he said you need to be on the show, and I respect Run, and so we've had her on the show before, and so shout out to her. And I said, okay, if somebody's saying I'd love to hear somebody on the show, then that's good enough reason for me. And, you know, it's cool to kind of introduce new people into the Hearthstone scene. A lot of people in the Hearthstone scene that have a presence. You know, they're into Hearthstone. They're contributing. They're kind of lurkers maybe, but you don't always get to hear their voices and their thoughts and opinions about stuff. So here's your chance. So, so before we get kind of into some of the news and some of the other stuff in the show, I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself. So I'm going to ask you the easy one. Stormfever, where'd the name come from?
I honestly don't remember. I've always had trouble coming up with names. So you have to come up with a name before you start playing, at least on PC.
Sure.
So I probably just I don't know, I have to come up with a name to play. So I'll just, it doesn't really matter. It won't be a big deal. At least that's what I thought at the time.
Just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah. Although, I don't know how many people know this, but nowadays, if you play on mobile, you actually don't have to make a Battle.net account. I found that out when I was my mom wanted to try Hearthstone or something, and I helped her with it, and then she actually didn't have to make an account. And so I guess that's an aside, but I'm pretty sure I started on PC. So
yeah, if you do through PC, Blizzard's going to say you must have an account.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I have an account, so it's no big deal. But you're right though, because whenever I delete the game, I don't have to relog in. Like if I delete the game, I had some issues with it, and I deleted it, and then I downloaded it back on to my phone, and I just hit already have an account, and it just brought me up. I didn't even have to type my password in.
Oh yeah.
So I'm guessing stuff is saved or whatever. I know that some people. Another friend of mine has his full actual name as his battle tag, and he didn't punch that in. It was just kind of automatic. He started playing on mobile as well, so I have to look into that. I'm curious to know what the avenue is that you'd have to take to make that one way or the other. But anyways,
already knows who you are.
Yeah, it's true. So Stormfever, why don't you start? Help us get to know you a little bit. What got you into Hearthstone and gaming in general? These are a lot of the same questions we ask everybody, but it's kind of, I think it's an important question to ask everybody because it kind of shapes how we view the game and whatnot. So what got you into Hearthstone and gaming and card gaming and whatever?
Oh God. Well, Hearthstone was actually my very first card game. I think I wanted to play card games as a kid, but real card games are pretty expensive. You have to constantly buy new cards. So it wasn't until Hearthstone came around that I actually finally played a card game. Played a card game, and it turned out I loved it. It made me wish I played it more other card games as a kid, like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. But yeah, before Hearthstone, I mostly played Nintendo games. I'm a huge Smash fan. I still follow a ton of Smash players on Twitter or whatever. I loved Mario games as a kid. Pokemon was also huge for me, stuff like that. So I'm definitely wasn't much of a PC gamer. So that's another thing Hearthstone introduced me to, PC gaming, I guess. But yeah, I've always liked gaming as a kid. It's just much more interesting to me than other like more passive stuff. Like I like the more active challenging stuff of like, you know, like playing a video game and like overcoming challenges and stuff.
Sure, sure, sure. So you said Hearthstone was kind of your first like card game.
Yeah.
That you know, it's interesting because a lot of people that come on our show have a, you know, they have a card gaming background. Like for myself, my first card game was Magic. I played
Mm.
Magic back in the day, and a lot of people will have said similar things or Pokemon and stuff. Do you find that? I mean, I guess before I ask the next question, how many years have you been playing Hearthstone? About
I think
months
it's been
even.
5 years now. It's been a while. Started.
So you've been in since pretty much beta.
No, like I think month 2. I actually don't have like the very first card back, like the Panarian one, but I have like the second one. So
Right, right.
So yeah, right after the game came out for PC.
Because I don't have the first one either. I think I have the third one
Mm-hmm.
or the fourth one. I can't remember. But I know I was playing in April when the game came out. But like so many of us, I didn't know you could compete and rank for a card back. It was
Okay.
like so. So now that you started in Hearthstone, that was kind of your first game. Did you like a lot of people like relate their experience like, oh, I played Magic before, so I kind of understand how this stuff works, or I played Pokemon, so I understand how this stuff works. How was the learning curve for you, kind of just learning a card game like Hearthstone, which is kind of complex, really coming from no card gaming background?
It was tough. God, it's so hard to remember because it was so long show. But one thing I do remember, like, is like a very distinct memory for me, is that like when I was doing the tutorial, I straight up didn't know how trading worked. Like, I would like make an
Hmm.
attack. I would have like no idea what the numbers would be after I made the attack. But like I'd be guessing. Uh, but I think after that, like I picked it up pretty quickly. Like after the tutorial, like I think Hearthstone's like a pretty easy game to like pick up and stuff. Um, and then I know like I really enjoyed Enrage Warrior when like I first started. Like I think what happened
Oh
is like,
wow.
oh, you know what? I think because I'm the type of person like when I start a game, I really like looking up stuff about it, like and learning about
Hmm.
it. So like at the time, I actually didn't even know what Twitch was. So like I went on YouTube and I found
Sure.
Trump, and then
Trump, yeah.
yeah the YouTuber Trump or like the Hearthstone
Yeah,
Trump,
yeah.
obviously.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so I found his YouTube, and then he played a lot of arena back then. So I, and the reason I started playing in Rage Warrior was I drafted Warsong Commander in arena, and like I thought it was like such a cool card, and so that's why I wanted
Uh-huh.
to play like that card in Constructed, because like you could do
Mm.
stuff with like death battles, or like you play Warsong and then you charge out your Harvest Golem, and then the death battle gets charged too. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but actually, more about Trump. That's like Trump is actually how I got into Twitch. Like I said, I didn't know what Twitch was before.
Mm-hmm.
So, like yeah, Trump. I watched Trump's YouTube videos, and he's like, of course, like his YouTube videos were all from his stream, like that he just put on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and like, I started watching his stream because like, because that his like stream was more up to date. Like his YouTube would be kind of from like a couple days before, and so like, and also I could like watch a stream whenever I want. Where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I like got into Twitch through Trump, and now I'm like, I couldn't imagine like life without Twitch now.
Do you spend a lot of time on Twitch?
Not as much as I used to be honest, but yeah, when I was like first learning the game, like I probably spent way more time watching the game than like actually playing it myself. Um,
How did that affect your play?
uh, hmm. I guess I guess back then I was like more vulnerable to like small misplays or whatever, because like maybe like
Mm-hmm.
the muscle
Mm-hmm.
memory wasn't there. But I
Sure.
feel that Hearthstone's like it doesn't make you that much worse if you learn mostly by watching other people than playing yourself, because like it's not as reflex based or whatever.
Mm.
Um, especially if you're like the type of player that ropes a lot instead of like instantly making a play instinctively. Like
Mm-hmm.
like you're not gonna like make as likely to make small mistakes or whatever. I've
Mm.
um I've still like played the game a ton, of course. Like,
So, question for you. how long were you playing Hearthstone before you started to decide to take it more seriously? Because I think everybody has a
Mhm.
period where they start out as a casual player and like, oh, let's see what this game's like, and I wonder if this is fun. And then they go to, well, I want to learn how to play this better. And then it goes from, I want to learn how to play this better to like, okay, I want to actually like climb. Okay, now I'm climbing. I think I want to hit 5, and then I want to hit legend, and then on we go. How long? Like, how was your progression in that regard?
I think uh, the big thing for me at the time was um, like what decks I was able to play, right? Because like I was like free to
Mm-hmm.
play at the beginning, and like I was told like
Sure.
the best way to be free to play is like play arena. So like I pretty much spent all my time in arena, and I know I spent
Mm-hmm.
like a ton of time watching Trump and Hafu, like trying to get better at arena. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
about I was doing that for about a year, and then I was finally able to craft a zoo deck. And so like that was
Mm.
like the first time I like I mean I'd played constructed before, but like mostly it was like just doing fun stuff, I guess, like the War Song Warrior, Scienvat, or like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember I played Trump had like a free to play shaman that I played a lot back then. But yeah, Zoo was like the very first deck I ever crafted. It was I think this was by now it was like Blackrock Mountain. So this was like the Demon Zoo with Void Caller Mal'Ganis, Imp Gang Boss, like
Yeah.
all that stuff. And
Yeah.
so
Mm.
I crafted it, and then I think I'd hit. It was like near the end of the month, I think, and I hit rank 5 for the first time, and then
Mhm.
the reset happened, and then that month was like the very first time I hit legend. Now that like I finally had like an actual deck instead of just like a budget deck or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that was like about a year after I started playing, and then I think that's like when I wanted to take it more seriously because like I guess I just really enjoyed playing Hearthstone and like that zoo deck in particular. Like I wanted to keep like improving myself. I know some people like when they hit legend first time it kind of like kills their motivation because there's like nothing else to do. But I felt like I was the opposite. Like that made me more motivated to get better.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like when I hit legend the first time, I was like, "Ooh, I want to do that again. That was cool." Can I? Was it a fluke? So you hit legend for the first time before there was such thing as a ranked floor, right?
Yeah,
If my timeline's correct.
yeah.
And what was that like getting like for listeners who may not know, like what was that like? Like you hit legend and you get pushed all the way back down to was it 16? Rank 16 is what we used to get reset to, right?
Mhm.
Something like that. Like and that didn't bug you. And I'm just curious to know your mindset regarding that.
It didn't bug me too much. The thing was, my mindset was, I want to hit legend with a different deck. So I actually like being sent back to 16 because that gave me like a space to like learn a new deck basically. Whereas
Mm.
like if it was reset back to rank 4, like I don't want to learn a new deck against like other really good players. I actually like being at like a lower rank at the time. I think now, of course, I prefer being rank 4 because less grinding.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because there's those. You remember those months where you get sent to 16 and you grind for like a week just trying to get up to 10,
Yeah.
just because for whatever reason you're just not getting there. It's just hitting all the bad matchups, or you're playing against all the pros who are there and stuff like that. Um, I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed that I stopped running into professionals or the highest level players as often when uh, since the rank floors came into being. So it was kind of an interesting thing. It's like, man, I haven't ran into a professional player in a while. Well, yeah, because they're at the ranked floors, and if I don't hit legend, they're going to be at 4, and they're going to be in legend before I get past 3. Depending on how my month shapes up. That's really cool. So right now, like, so we're here. We're in the Rise of Shadows meta. What's your favorite deck to play right now in Rise of Shadows?
Definitely Token Druid. Token Druid is a deck that like anytime new cards come out, like this has been true since Ungoro. Like Token Druid is like the first deck I try. So
Mm-hmm.
Ungoro was like when Living Mana came out. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
quite there at well. There was the aggressive Token Druid, but like the mid range one wasn't there yet. But like but yeah, it was when Whispering Woods came out that like it finally became like really strong. And
Mm.
I haven't been playing it as much recently because I feel it's not really that good in the current meta. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't beat Warrior anymore, I think, and loses an OE Priest, but it's still really enjoyable to play.
So do you? It sounds like you said you played a zoo deck. That old Demon zoo deck was a
Mhm.
pretty sweet deck back in the day, and you like Token Druid. So you kind of like board centric decks, go wide
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
decks. That's your kind of
Like I think of them as like payoff decks, like decks where like you have like uh ways to make a board and like ways to like capitalize off of it, like board buffs
Mhm.
or with like Murloc decks, you'd have like cards like War Leader or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I kind of like having to like balance like when to get the most value out of your buffs or like when to play them more for tempo. Like Token Druid has that a lot where like you have some situations where you use Power of the Wild and just like 2 minions just because like you need those minions to stick and you already have a ton of buffs in your hand. But like other times you have to like save it for a wide board to get like a lot of value. So like
Yeah.
I like making those type of decisions.
Yeah. Well, then you're gonna love our budget deck later on because it's exactly that kind of a deck. Cool. But what's your favorite deck of all time now? So, like, favorite deck
Ooh.
right now is Token Druid, and what's your favorite deck of all time? Like, if you could bring it back and play it again, like, what would that be?
Definitely Water Rogue from Mean Streets of Gadstan.
Oh yeah, yeah, Water Rogue. That was a fun one.
Yeah, like Finja is just like probably my favorite card of all time. Like I actually crafted that was like the very first card I crafted in gold. And, like I still have it to
Oh
this
yeah.
day.
We called it our former one of our former hosts, Rob May. He called it the Finja Force 5. That was his thing, and we're like, yeah, Finja Force 5. That was great. So yeah, I remember that deck. That was a good one. I'm a rogue main, I guess you could say. Rogue. I just love playing rogue. Even now, I still love playing rogue. And it's funny because you probably heard on like the Twitter sphere and some of the and Reddits and stuff. People are like, oh, I queued up and I played 5 games against rogue in a row. What a boring meta. Oh, first world problems. And I'm sitting there going, dude, I love playing the mirror because that's my jam, man. I love playing rogue. Oh, 5 rogues in a row, cool. I mean, at least I know what I'm getting into. But I digress. So cool. So what's your favorite card currently, like in the current meta? Like, what card is just like you're always happy to play it when it gets in your hand? Like, I love this card. Gets you excited. It doesn't even have to be a good one, but like, what's your favorite card?
Definitely Myra. I love like Myra's Unstable Element. That card is so cool. Like I just love like the recent trend of like card advantage effects that like only aggro decks can use. Like Master's Call, Raiding Party, and
Mm-hmm.
Alunith from Kobolds all kind of fall into that. Where
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, you have to be like an aggro deck to use it or like a mid range one. And also like I feel like you can be really creative with like the way you play Myra.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably my favorite games are the one where like uh I played Myra earlier than like people normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Myra on 5 or maybe even prep Myra on 4, and then like I pull out the win just like through sheer card advantage. Like
Mm-hmm.
before like I died of fatigue. Um, and also I've been playing a lot of the rogue deck with Nomi recently, and like being able to like, go Myra
Mm-hmm.
into like Nomi is just sick, especially against like Warrior because that's normally a bad matchup.
Yeah, I've been playing the Nomi version of Rogue. I was running Nicolina's version that she had hit
Mm.
Legend with. And I played that and I liked it. And I swapped out I subbed a couple cards out, made a little few tech choices. But like you're right though, when you're playing Warrior and you have Shadow Step, Nomi, and Myra's in your hand, you're just like, I'm so happy right now because I'm just gonna Shadow Step you back into my hand. You clear my go ahead, clear my board, it's fine. And they can't Warpath it down because it's 6 health minions. So that's pretty fun. And
Well, I've heard some warriors actually have been teching spell Zerker. That's
oh yeah.
when damage gives your spells +2 spell damage. That actually does let you clear Nomi.
Yeah, that would do it. But I mean, it's probably a safe bet that that's not common meta choice,
Mm.
and that's why you shadow step it. So, but yeah, it is my favorite deck because I generally like to play tempo rogue type decks. That's kind of where I tend to enjoy playing, or like kind of complicated decision making, like you said, like the idea of just dropping a Myra's on turn 5 and seeing what happens. That's where I get excited when the game is like, well, I think I can win this if I play Myra's now. Yeah,
Mm.
I know. It's only turn 6, but what if I draw Nomi and what if I get my burn? There's been so many games where I get all my damage in hand and I can kill them no matter what they do,
Yeah,
because I pulled what?
those games are pretty gross. Like I had one game yesterday where I was playing in Secret Hunter and I killed them
Mm.
without ever triggering their freezing trap. Like they played it like on turn 2, I think, and then I just like 30'd them from hand. Like
Whoa.
yeah, that's like the life drinker tech that's become popular recently. Like that just I think that
Yeah.
like pushes the burst damage over the top.
I agree with you. I like Life Drinker a lot because it really works good with the weapon. It really works good with Shadow Step. And I mean, you're talking 6 damage for 6 mana.
Mm.
It's not bad. And if you have the weapon in face, so you're just getting 10 damage for 6 mana.
And you
That's
heal
pretty
too.
good. And you heal, so it gives you a little bit more sustainability. So if it's close, so yeah, I love the life drinker tech a lot. That's pretty sweet. That's cool, man. I'm glad I feel like a kindred spirit in terms of the kinds of decks we enjoy to play. I was hoping you had some kind of magical secret on how to play Token Druid because my co-host Eve Martin, she was really digging Token Druid like in the early meta when it was good, and she got all the way up to rank 2, and then it stopped being good, and then she fell back down. And we're the joke was Eve has hated Druid as long as I've known her, so much so that she virtually dusted her entire Druid collection just because she just refused to play Druid. And the fact that she climbed up to rank 2 with a Druid deck and was really pushing for Legend was just like making my month. And then it got bad, and it just wasn't as strong because of the way the meta shook out. But it was one of those things like, oh, I was hoping that you could give her some like, oh yeah, it's good if you do X, Y, and Z, and then that she could play it again and make Legend. But that's all good. So I guess let's transition into the news a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a new tavern brawl, and it's called Henchmania. And basically, it's a teaser. You get a chance to play it this week?
I actually haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, people who are ladder grinders. I forgot to ask you before I get into that. What's the highest rank legend you've ever made?
I think 10 exactly. 10 legend.
Dang. That's about 1,000 higher than I've ever made.
But
that's awesome.
Normally I don't play like high legend at all. I definitely that was like an anomaly that 1 month. I happened to like hit legend early. But yeah, normally I like spend more time playing like open cups and stuff than like playing ladder.
Cool. Yeah, I probably should have asked you about all that stuff. I just forgot. But we'll just get on the moves. It was me being idly curious. But I might ask you about open cups later. So Henchmania, basically it's a preview for our the Dalaran Heist, which is coming out. Henchmania gives you a chance to use a lot of the hench people, creatures, whatever you want to call them, that you will get to play in the adventure. So it's kind of cool. You get an extra if you play 3 times, they'll give you a Rise of Shadows pack in addition to if you win a game, you get your classic pack. So get on that, get those free cards, that free dust, depending on who you are. Seems kind of fun. So here we are now. We are not many days away from the release of the much anticipated adventure, the Dalaran Heist. There's a couple little things about it. It says they basically put out some promos for it. They had like a rundown with one of the devs, and they put out a really funny kind of kooky promo trailer for it. Did you get a chance to watch that, Stormfever?
I haven't. I've been really busy this week.
Well, are you in school? Or are you working or?
Yeah, both. I'm a college student right now, so
yeah. To be a college student again.
Yeah, so I'm still working on my undergraduate, and then while I'm not doing that, I also work.
That's good. If I was to do it all over again, I would have worked a job while I was in music school, because I went to music school and I spent all my time practicing, and I could have very easily held a job. I know that now, but it's like, oh no, I got to practice. I could use that time, but whatever. When you're young, sometimes you just do stupid things. So props to you for working hard. So anyways, it was kind of this kooky video of like, it's kind of that moment where all the, Hagatha and Dr. Boom and Rafam are jumping off their dirigible onto Dalaran. They're kind of trying to review the plan, and every single member of the team has sort of a slightly skewed version of the plan. They're all right, but they all are coming across like they don't know what the plan is, and Rafam's kind of incredulous, going, what the heck, you guys? And, the plan is to not rob Dalaran, but to steal the city, like the whole city, like take the whole floating island and just, wreak havoc there and just take all of it. So it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, yeah. They weren't like going to take the stuff in Dalaran. They were just going to take Dalaran. So that was pretty funny. The expansion, or the adventure, I should say, launches May 16th. If you want, you can try and purchase each individual wing for 700 gold. That is definitely a throwback to the old adventures back like Naxxramas and the Black Rock Mountain, etc. The first wing is free, so that's cool. Gets you kind of, like drug dealers, they get you hooked early, so that you want to either save your gold, grind your gold, or pay your $20. Personally, for me, I'm just going to pay the $20 and get it done with, because the amount of hours I would sink in to earn the, let's see, there's 5 wings, and so 2,800 gold is a lot more than it would take me to earn $20. So I'm just going to pay the $20 and call it good. What do you think, Stormfever? What are you going to do? You going to grind the gold, or are you just going to, and you're a college student, so that might $20 might be more money to you than to me, but
I'll probably end up playing with gold because usually around this time of the expansion, I just stop spending gold on packs because like because usually I like pre-order and stuff, so I have all the cards I need. So like I'm usually sitting on like a bunch of gold anyway, so like I might as well spend it on the single player content.
I can see your point. I kind of had wondered about it, because sometimes I get a wild hair and I think, you know what, I'm not going to save my gold because maybe I don't need to. But I almost get around 8,000 gold every time a new expansion drops. I have about that much. And then I buy the pre-release. So on average, I open somewhere like 170 packs, which is pretty cool to open that many packs. But I'm wondering, like, do I need that many packs? Should I just use the gold? I don't know. Probably the $20 would still be the way I'll go. But either way, it's cool that they are giving you the option to, if you just like playing a lot and you have the gold sitting around, you don't have to pay money to play the game. And that's always good for people on Reddit and people who think Hearthstone should be 100% free. Basically, they said in the video that the Dungeon Run and Monster Hunt are the same format as the Dalaran Heists, except that they added a lot more content and features. The dev, I can't remember what his name was offhand. He said
Giovanni, I
that,
think.
Yeah, that's right, Giovanni. He had said that, they'd really taken a lot of consideration in what the community had said for feedback. So there's a lot of variants and things you can do and tweak in it. Basically, you're going to challenge the defenders of Dalaran that sit between you and your job. That's basically what you're going to do. So it's just like boss fight after boss fight. You can purchase the second chapter right away after completing the first chapter, and then they're going to stagger the rest of the chapters to be unlocked on a weekly basis. Hero powers get unlocked through mini quests, such as like freeze 30 minions or draw 100 cards. So they're going to give you these like side mini quests, and you can unlock like additional varieties of hero powers. And so that's kind of cool. They kind of demoed some of the like one of the characters was a mage. It had the regular mage hero power, and then it had one of the alternate hero powers was freeze a minion, and if it's already frozen, deal 2 damage or something like that. And that's pretty cool. I thought that was neat. Did you? You can remove cards from your deck in the Dalaran Tavern during your run as well. Modify your deck with special gold coins and stuff like that. What were you gonna say?
Oh, the other thing that's interesting to me is how it's more story based this time. So like with Monster Hunt and Dungeon Run, it's like the story is pretty simple, right? Like evil boss like comes in, you gotta like defeat them, I guess. But,
it's very linear.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know exactly what like the story's going to be, but like it seems like a lot like it's going to be a lot deeper than before. And like that's like a big thing they're doing different this year. Like they're going to do that like big overarching story over 3 expansions, which like I think is really cool because like I don't want to say like Hearthstone's never been big on story because like I know they try to tell a story through like the cards and stuff. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like Peter William talk about this, but like he goes into like surprising depth about like the story each card is trying to tell and like exactly why they have like this flavor or whatever. But like it's been like super subtle, but like this time it's like a more explicit story that's like might actually be compelling.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard him talk about that, and people who are into games like Hearthstone that are kind of heady games like that, we do pay attention to things like flavor, character, all that kind of stuff. It matters to us. And I'm excited to see like where they go, because if they're trying to steal the whole island, the floating city of Dalaran, the next expansion is what? Finding it, and then the third is getting it back. I mean, what's it going to be? It's just kind of funny to me. Like it's no small task either way, right? And we're going to achieve it by throwing down sick cards, yo. So the thing that I thought was really intriguing was you can go into these taverns that are like in the little world they create, and you can swap out. Like you can hire cards or characters in the cards, like they're like hired guns. You can swap. He said, "What was his? You can swap out like a cheaper minion that you don't want for a Ragnaros." And I'm like, dude, that's just kind of cool. It's like, hey, yo, anybody want a job? It pays good. Help us hijack the city. So
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of neat.
yeah. I always thought one of the more frustrating parts of like Monster Hunt was like starting out. Like your starting deck always had like bad cards in it, at least one,
Hmm.
and so like you were stuck with that card for like the whole run. It just has like
Right.
hope you wouldn't draw it as your deck got bigger, but now you can just like take it out, which I really like that.
I like that too. And I mean, and not just the starting cards. Sometimes you'd be offered the buckets, and you'd be like, well, none of these buckets kind of uh, like jive with the synergy I'm trying to go for. So being able to swap out maybe for some potentially better cards just seems more fun. I don't know if it'll make it easier, but it seems more fun and adds an element of choice and agency to what used to be very frustrating. Because I don't know about you, but some of the solo content could be incredibly frustrating.
Hmm.
I mean, I know my buddy Rob, who we teased him about it so much. He could never beat the Toki part on Monster Hunt. Like he tried it so many times, he could beat the whole thing, except for some reason he kept getting to the Toki run in Monster Hunt and just like it just stonewalled him. And he did it many, many, many times, and he just couldn't get past it. And he was so salty about it. Uh, we had a few laughs about it, but at the end of the day, like how many people were like that, where they got to certain parts, like this is for a card back, this ain't worth it. I'll never get those hours of my time back for a card back I'm never going to use anyways. Um,
I always thought the Glinda Crowskin fight was really hard. That's like the one where she has the minions make her
yes,
immune. Uh,
yes.
and also I felt like the Houndmaster Shaw decks were like a little bit weaker than the other three. But Toki's also really tough. Like you have to defeat her twice basically, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
That
uh,
Toki fight was, ugh, oh my gosh. I got it like on the third or fourth try. But I think I had a pretty sick deck, if I remember right. When I beat it, I was like, yeah, this deck's unstoppable. It's either like you think you have a chance and maybe you get it, or you just like, oh no, this deck is unbeatable. I'm not gonna lose, and you don't. Um,
but I know that's like one of the things um, they said because like the solo content's now optional, like they can make it a lot tougher. Whereas before, like at least to me, like the solo content that was required to like get cards was like a little
mhm,
too easy, and the heroic version
mhm,
was like a little too hard.
mhm.
Uh, but now it's like in between. So it's like it's also like way more replayable.
So one of the things, maybe I don't know the answer to this question. You might know the answer to this one, but like somebody tweeted, there's that cape, that card that's a
Mm.
cape. Is that a card you only can play in the adventure, or is that a card that actually you can earn in the adventure and then you can play it in like real Hearthstone, like in like ladder or casual?
Yeah, it's basically like Whizbang. So
Okay.
and you can even craft it if you want. You don't have to play the adventure to get it. You do. I think you have to play the adventure to get it in gold. I don't think you can craft it in gold. Like it's like the old rewards cards are like Mare and the Fox. I think it's like that where
Hmm.
it, you can't craft it in gold. Um, you have to have like attended BlizzCon to have Golden Marin. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be in the pack. So I want to say it's not gonna be added to the Rise of the Shadow pack. So like you would have to craft it or play the adventure to get it.
Man, I'm glad they're bringing that kind of stuff back because like old Murkai kind of stuff, where you have one of each Murloc, you can get old Murkai for free, and that kind of stuff was always just cool. Like I always, when I first started playing, I remember doing research on the game and like finding all the like how do you get more gold, what are the quests you can earn, like the side quests, and I found a whole list of things you could do in the game, like almost like Easter eggs, if you will, to earn golds and rewards that just are not obvious unless you know specifically the path to take. Like, for example, craft one of each type of Murloc, and then boom, you get Murkai for free. And that's not the case anymore with the game because it rotated to Hall of Fame. But dang, more stuff like that would be sweet. And I'm excited to see what I want to play some decks. I want to see what kinds of decks you get with the cape. So that's pretty neat.
Well,
Okay, and last thing is they have these passive effects. They call it anomaly mode, and it makes randomized effects throughout the game. And there's going to be a special event where the pros get to play the adventure only. So that's on the 14th and 15th if you want to look at it. So I can't remember what some of the anomalies were. Do you remember what they are offhand? Like it was like a thing where it allows like a minion's health to be or a cost to be reduced by a certain amount, like by 2 or 0 or something to 0 or something like that. You remember what they were?
No, not off the top of my head. I know in
But
the
it basically go ahead.
I know in the heart side chat, like Giovanni mentioned, like there's something that made that swapped like the minion's attack and health or something. I don't know if that's like supposed to be one of the anomalies or something else.
Yeah, it affects. It's kind of like almost like an aura kind of effect, but it seems pretty cool. Seems pretty interesting. I'm excited to see how it plays. I'm such a giant tryhard that I'll probably play it very gradually, and everybody will have beaten it before I beat the first couple wings. But lately I've been playing a little more for fun, and I haven't been stressing out about it. In fact, I've been spending my gold on Arena just because Arena's been fun lately. So that'll be cool. Cool. So in the news, there was this is sort of a discussion topic / a news topic. It's a amalgamation. In the news, a senator from Missouri introduced a bill to ban loot boxes, kind of claiming that games with loot boxes or things like it are gambling and they are basically meant to entrap children. So just thought I'd bring it up as sort of a mild topic of discussion just because I thought it was amusing because, well, I wonder why we want to call it gambling, and is it gambling? In what ways is it not? In what ways is it? And when do kids have bank accounts that they can bankroll the microtransactions? Because most of them don't have debit cards. So how can they pay for it unless their mom and dad give it to them? So what do you think? Like, would you consider like buying packs and the addiction mechanics that are so cleverly woven into Blizzard games in particular? What do you think, Stormfever? Is that gambling? Is it gambling of a sort? Is it harmless? What do you think? I'm just curious to know your thoughts.
I wouldn't say it's gambling. Well, maybe it depends how you define it, but I actually don't think it's like completely innocent either. Like I forget what the term for it is, but I think it's like Skinner box or something where like because the rewards aren't like consistent, like it works exactly like a slot machine, right? Like you don't know when the reward is gonna come, so like
sure,
it kind of like makes you want to keep doing it because like the reward could be like the very next pack or whatever. So like it kind of preys on like a psychological weakness that like all humans have, and like some people are more vulnerable to it than others. So like I guess I'm fortunate that like I'm not as vulnerable to it. Like like I said before, like I'm able to like sit on like a bunch of gold, and once I realize I don't need more packs. But like I can imagine like if you are the type of person that's very vulnerable to it, that can make it like a lot harder to like stop yourself from spending money and stuff. So maybe not even kids. Like I think there are some adults who might have that problem. Maybe not as much because like their brains are more developed. But yeah, I don't think like so I don't think like those type of mechanics are, like completely innocent. I do think the way Blizzard does it is like a lot better than how other games do it. Well, at least that's what I've heard. I don't usually play like any other games with like loot boxes, but other people that I've talked to or like seen on Twitter seem to think like they're way more egregious than like Blizzard packs.
Well, in the article, they cite Activision, which is Blizzard's parent company, for Candy Crush and like how you can only beat it if you pay money. Now, that's kind of a weird thing because I watched my wife play it. My wife would never think of spending a dime on Candy Crush. That would just never be a thing she would do. And she's an adult and she never thinks anything of it, and she plays the game and walks away from it, and she does fine because she's pretty smart actually. I can see but at the same time I can see like myself whenever it comes Hearthstone pack opening season, man, the dopamine that I don't always want to acknowledge as it's released whenever I see that orange glow on a card, you know what I mean? And knowing a legendary is about to come out, and the satisfaction you see with that little tiny nuclear explosion around the card, and the warmth of the light that comes from it, and I think, oh, that feels so good. I want to do that again, you know what I mean? Because it's the excitement of, did I get a good one? And even if it's not a great one, it's still a legendary, and it's that hope that it's something good. And I mean, I can see that that addiction, and then like not only that type of addiction, but like these cards will help me have an edge as a player if I get them sooner. You know what I mean? I can play this game. I can play it at a higher level because I can play all the decks, or I can play the best decks before people who have to grind out the cards can get them. I can play those cards and refine my skills faster than they can. So it feels like it gives me an edge, and that by itself can be quite addicting. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, like I said, I don't think I'm vulnerable to it as other people, but like, it's like more like one of those things where like, if there's even like a small segment of the population that's like super vulnerable to it, and like that will cause them to like spend way more money than they want to, like that could, it's like worth it to try to like, make life better for them. But I don't know if like banning it altogether is like the best way to do it.
Yeah, I would wonder, like, I teach public school for a living, teach music, and a lot of my students play Hearthstone, and I can tell you most of them will not spend any money on the game because they don't have that access. They don't have that permission. Most parents, if they're paying attention, don't just give their kids carte blanche app purchasing, privileges. They don't just let them buy whatever app they want on an iTunes account or spend any kind of money on a game. And, I mean, because if I was a kid and if cell phones were around when I was a kid and I, dropped 50 to 60 bucks on my parents' phone or on an app or something like that, my parents would have that'd been real problems for me. You know what I mean? There would have been a severe conversation and probably some severe punishments and groundings and things like that. That just would have not happened. And I'm pretty sure a lot of kids are that way. So in the article, they claim it targets children, and I'm like, no, it doesn't target children. It made me wonder: is like, does the state gain something by marketing, by regulating digital monetization of games? That was kind of my overarching thought. I wondered, but your thoughts?
I think it maybe targets like adults. I think it's more likely targets adults actually, because there's like even though like we're less likely to fall for it, I guess. Like this, especially because there's like a certain age where like you start getting more responsibility, and like you might get like your first credit card, but you're not completely used to like spending money yet. Like that's like the kind of age where like you're most vulnerable to that.
I could see that. That makes sense. Well, I think the stats show that the people who play the most video games are the 30 to 40-year-old range.
Oh wow!
Because we're the ones that have the money. We're the ones that are more settled in our careers, and we have a little bit more liquid access. College kids, I'm sure, play a lot of games, but I'm not always sure they're the ones spending the money on it. Like you said yourself, it's like, yeah, I don't. The liquid assets. If you have liquid assets, a lot of times that's just going to paying rent, eating, or paying tuition. So I would be interested to know what the actual hard data is out there. But it's just an interesting topic of because I know China a while back now basically said, yeah, no, the loot boxes are gambling, and we're not going to let that happen. So they don't do the same system that we do on their version of Hearthstone, as I understand it.
Yeah, the way that works is in Hearthstone, when you buy dust instead. Like you buy one piece of dust, and they gift you a free pack. So that's how they get around that. So I imagine that's how it would work for like us if like that so they have ways to get around it. That's like another thing too.
Buy the dust and they give you the pack.
Yeah, it's just a single piece of dust. So it's basically the same thing except you get dust. Like you just get one extra dust.
So all those people who get tilted by having the 5 gold from like arena, like the 1 dust. I didn't realize that's exactly how they did it. I knew that they altered it somehow, but 1 dust for 1 pack. That's great. Cool. Yeah, it's China kind of gets that luxury, right? We're China and we don't want to do it a certain way. So if you want our market, you're just going to do it the way we want you to do it. And, I mean, honestly, who would not want the Chinese market for your game? Jeez. But anyways, I digress. Cool. Any further thoughts, and we can progress on to the deck of the week?
And I just wanted to say, like, someone I follow on Twitter, his name is Deck Tech. I don't know if you know him, but like,
oh yeah, I know Deck Tech.
Yeah, he's like a lawyer. He mentioned that like usually, because the Congress people usually like are don't play aren't like gamers themselves. Like, usually these type of laws have like very bad definitions for like what counts as loot boxing and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like that's like another problem with like these type of laws. Um, that like it can be easy to find loopholes and stuff.
Yeah. It sometimes seems like it could smack as political grandstanding.
Mhm.
You know, oh well, you can't target the children. Or oh, you can't fleece the masses, or those big bad multi-billion-dollar companies are just trying to take advantage of people. And look how righteous I am for introducing a bill that targets them. And then there's misnomers and how they talk about it and stuff like that. It's like, well, it's a shame that you don't play games yourself, because you probably have a better handle on how to approach this. Because, sure, okay, let's say companies are taking advantage of people. Maybe there is regulation that can be applied, but you don't want somebody who doesn't understand anything, not even like grassroots level about it, like on how to, put some kind of regulation down. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm sure Deck Tech probably has some interesting thoughts about it. Kind of want to ask him about it now, what he thinks. But, anyways. Okay, so we're going to move on to the deck of the week this week. This week we have what is an Overload Murloc Shaman, brought to you by Spark HS. I saw this deck on the internet this week on my Twitter feed. Spark HS went from 4 to Legend with a 70% win rate with this deck.
Wow.
He says it's good against the field. I mean, a 70% win rate is insane. Ever. Doesn't matter what part of the ladder you're on.
Yeah.
And he says it's good against everything. It can struggle against Big Mage or Conjurer's Mage, and Control Warrior can if you don't maintain board, Control Warrior clears your board once or twice. It's really hard to come back from it. So Control Warrior can be rough,
Mhm.
but does well against Rogue, does really well against Bomb Hunter and things like that. So it's a good deck to play. It's very board centric. It's a deck that I will say out the front, Velen's used to be a budget podcast. This deck is about as budget as I've seen in a long time. It runs no legendaries and only 4 epics. 4 total epics, and not the individual card names, just 4 cards. So, and we'll talk about them when we get through them as I read the deck list. So here's the deck list for you. You're probably all listeners. You're probably all curious now. What deck could actually be that good and not run any legendaries? Well, here you go. It runs 2 zaps, which are 0-cost spells that do 2 damage, but they overload you 1. 2 Murloc Tidecallers, 2 Sludge Slurpers, 2 Toxfins, 2 Voltaic Bursts, 2 Lickums, which is the Shaman weapon, 2 Soul of the Murloc, 2 Underbelly Angler, 2 Feral Spirits, 2 Murloc War Leaders, 2 Storm Chasers, 2 Thunderheads, 2 Bloodlust, 2 Sunreaver War Mages, and 2 Reign of Toads. So basic gist of this deck is to get bored, keep it, and then burst them down with Bloodlust. That's a pretty strong that's a pretty strong win condition. If they ever leave a board of yours untouched and it gets wide enough, you can just crush them. I found that I liked to be able to play coin out Thunderhead, which is the 3/5 minion that whenever you play an overload card, it summons 2 little 1/1 tokens with Rush. I liked following Thunderhead up on turn 4 with like Feral Spirits, and then they had a big giant board and they couldn't get to my Thunderhead. That's kind of a mean thing to do. I'd like to put out like the what is it the Sludge Slurper? That's the Murloc that gives you a lackey, and you play the weapon and you get that, so you get the lackeys plus the weapon, and you just start going face with a 3/3 weapon. That's pretty dope too. This deck very much feels like a face deck if you can. Trade when need to, but it's very facey. You want to get them to within Bloodlust range. It's very common to have by the time you can play Bloodlust to have 3, maybe 4 minions that are kind of wimpy but still doable. If decks that don't run mass AOE, any decks like that, this deck does real well against. So it's super fun, super budget friendly. I played a bunch with it. I went from rank 5 to 4 with it, so it works pretty easily. And then I ran into a bunch of warriors that always seemed to have warpath, and then it wasn't fun. So if you're facing a ton of warrior on the deck, this is probably not the deck you want to play. But if you're playing, if you see a fair amount of rogue and shaman's okay, a lot of rogue and hunter. You see a lot of rogue and hunter, and mage is okay. Then this could be a deck you could actually do some legitimate climbing with. Stormfever, any comments about this deck so far?
Oh, this deck looks really cool. I haven't played it myself yet, but I love these type of hybrid decks that like they essentially take the good parts of like two different decks. Like in this case, it's like Murloc Shaman and the I don't know if you saw this, but the token Shaman that AA brought to Worlds, and just like cuts the bad cards from each, takes the good cards and just like mashes them together. This is really cool. I almost want to try what's that card called? The 3/2 that draws two Murlocs, Tasty Fin, I think. I kind of want to try like I feel like there's a lot you can like a lot of cards you can try in this deck. Like you could like I'm interested to see like if SZAwA would be good or Tasty Fin. The reason that would be good is because when you have so few when you only run like the high quality Murlocs, it's like more likely to the card draw from Tasty Fin becomes better, and especially because the Underbelly Angler in particular. Well, I guess also the War Leader, but like they're good like with other Murlocs. So like you draw Murlocs together, and then you can play them together, and, as opposed to like just drawing them by themselves. Does that make sense? Like it's kind of like how Raiding Party works. Like you don't want like part of the reason Rogue's so good right now is because like normally if you just ran Pick and Dread Corsair together in a deck, like you wouldn't be able to draw them together consistently enough. But with Raiding Party, you like always draw them together, and you get like the super powerful swing turn. Like that's like Tasty Fin might be good for a similar reason.
Yeah, I could see that because sometimes you want your better Murlocs, and sometimes you don't get them right away. So that would be like you can tutor them out with the Tasty Fin. And I found that Underbelly Angler, like it's great early game, but sometimes it's really great late game. Like if they cleared your board and all you need is two Murlocs in late game, you can just cycle Murlocs really fast.
Yeah, Underbelly Angler is like probably one of the strongest cards in the game right now. To be honest, it's really good.
It's a kill on sight card. If that card's out, you have to get rid of it, or it's just going to get all kinds of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I like your idea of SZAwA. I don't know what is it about us Hearthstone players. Like we always make these token decks, and the SZAwA's always the last one. Like, wait a minute, why didn't I put a SZAwA in here? Duh, you know what I mean? I mean, people have been running SZAwA also in Conjurer's Mage's deck because just the nature of boards these days, they tend to get pretty beefy. What do you go ahead?
Oh, and SZAwA's also like amazing with Conjurer's Calling. Like the 10 drops in this game are pretty nuts.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Getting a Mechathune instead of a SZAwA is pretty crazy.
Yeah, in this deck in particular, like a big difference between like it makes sense that Token Druid doesn't run SZAwA because like the deck's already so payoff heavy. Like the thing about token decks is you kind of want to balance like the amount of like board generation you have, like the amount of payoffs you have. So like that's the thing that makes this deck so different from like Druid is that it's like it has way less like buff cards. Like you just have the Warley and the Bloodlust, but most of the deck is just like way to make boards. So I think SZAwA is like better in this deck than it would be in Token Druid.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and having played it a bunch, I felt like I had no, your threats are these smaller minions. Like an Underbelly Angler, while it's only a 2/3 minion, it's a big threat because of the value you can get out of it. Thunderhead is a threat because of the value you can get out of it. But I always felt like I wanted a card in it that could just like, you don't have an answer to this card, you're dead. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was lacking a little bit. But with a board-centric meta, this deck's great because of all the taunt. You can protect your minions with Feral Spirits and Rain of Toads quite well. Getting through 3, 2, 4 taunts is awful. It's awful.
How do you like the Sunreaver War Mage when you play this deck?
That card, when you have, if you on curve when you need it, like if you have the spell in hand, like you're just sitting on a Rain of Toads, or you're sitting on a Bloodlust, and you have Sunreaver War Mage, it seems good, but actually I felt like it was a little bit kind of lackluster. But the cool thing about it is you can burst them down over the top. So if you're playing a hyper aggro strategy, I liked
Mm-hmm.
being able to know that I could just hit them for 4 if I needed to, you know.
Yeah.
But I could see that and possibly the Storm Chaser getting subbed out because Storm Chaser is supposed to draw you one of your big spells.
Mm-hmm.
So if you draw that early, you know, it works great, but it feels oddly conditional.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What were you thinking about it?
I mean, we were just talking about cards you'd sub in. So like,
Mm-hmm.
like if I were to like try like Tasty Fin or Seajon or whatever, like those are the cards I'd probably take out.
Mm-hmm.
But none of those are like legendaries either, right? Like Tasty Fin's a rare, I think. Seajon's an epic, so it's still
Yep,
like
that's right.
keeps the deck budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be probably my suggestion. I might try that. I might try that this week because the deck seems good as long as you're not hitting a ton of warrior.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, I haven't played that much warrior. It feels like I've been seeing a lot of shaman of various varieties, a lot of hunter and rogue. That's what I've been seeing a lot of. Now, I'm sure as I get a little higher on the ladder, I'll see more, but we'll see. We'll see what's happening. So, cool. Any other thoughts about this deck? Before we wrap it up?
I just think this deck does have the potential to be really strong. I remember after Worlds, I was surprised how few people were trying AAECAaoIAA Shaman. Like it felt like it seemed to win almost all its games that I saw on stream. Like the deck definitely felt strong, and like maybe this is like the next step in its evolution that like will push it over the top.
Yeah, it definitely has potential. Remember we were all saying how bad Rain of Toads was? Oh, that card's terrible.
Well,
Now it seems
I think that's because Mossy Horror was super popular in the meta at the time, but like now Mossy Horror is like way less common.
This is true. This is true unless you're running Bomb Hunter, unless you see a lot of those guys. But even then, I think that's sort of a tech card for that deck. But cool. All right, well, it's time to wrap up the show. Storm Rage, it's a different podcaster. Stormfever, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, my Twitter is Stormfever HS. That's where I'm most active. Like I try to tweet like anytime like I have something on mind, I try to like tweet something, and that's where I'm most active. Yeah, I don't stream currently, but maybe in the future I will. I don't know if I should. I mean, if I do stream, like I'll probably link whatever my stream is on my Twitter, right? So if you just follow me on my Twitter, and then anything that I decide to do, like I'll like tweet it there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. If you want to find anything and all things Velen's Chosen related, you can head on over to velenschosen.com. You can find our links to our Discord, email, all individual hosts, Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Velen's Chosen podcast. You know, I've been tracking our downloads. We have thousands and thousands of downloads, and probably less than 1% of our listeners support us in any way. So if you'd like to become a new supporter of the show, help us keep the show going, pay the bills, keep the lights on if you were, you can just head on over there, and any support is well welcome. And having said that, big giant shout out to Jamie S., our #1 sponsor, and has been for years. Thank you, Jamie, for all that you do for the show. Thank you for your support in more ways than one. If you want to find myself on internet, the best place to go is Twitter, also at WatchmanHS. My battle tag is Watchman #1140. Be happy to play games with you, 80 gold quests. I play on mobile most of the time, so if you want to have a long, lengthy conversation, I'd be happy to have that with you. But the in-game mobile version of conversation is the hardest thing to have adequate conversations with. So, but anyways, feel free to say hi. I love it when people say hi, even if it's just for once in a while. That's great. So thank you, Stormfever, for getting up here Friday evening to hang out with me, and we can talk some cards and some Hearthstone. It was super fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We'll get you on again sometime. Just because now that you're in the rotation, once you're on the show, you're gonna have to come back. So maybe you can meet Eve next time. She's super cool. But while you're on the ladder, or you're playing an arena, or you're playing the new adventure content coming out pretty cool, just remember that not all who wander are lost. Take care, everyone.
I foresaw this.
Did I miss it?